whispers from beyond, the phone calls that should never have rung. In their landmark 1979 work, Phone Calls from the Dead, researchers D. Scott Rogo and Raymond Bayless peeled back the veil between the living and the dead, uncovering one of the most unsettling phenomena in modern parapsychology: spectral phone calls from the other side. Their 2-year investigation unearthed a series of chilling accounts, communications from the deceased, many offering startlingly specific details no living soul could know. These weren't harmless glitches or misdialed numbers. These were voices from beyond the grave, sometimes unmistakable in their tone, often laden with emotion, and always leaving behind a frost that never quite melts. Most hauntingly, the calls would often end abruptly, just as the living realized who they were speaking to. 1. The hidden documents. After the death of Stanley Lupino, the father of actress Ida Lupino, their London family home, already battered by wartime bombing, was left in disarray. Crucial legal documents vanished amidst the rubble, complicating the settlement of his estate. Then the impossible happened. Sometime after Stanley's death, Ida received a phone call. According to her friend Elsie Pendleton, who witnessed the event, Ida was shaking and screaming, pale as a ghost. "My God, it was Stanley! It was him!" Stanley's voice had calmly guided her to a precise location deep within the ruins of their home, somewhere they'd already searched. And there, untouched by time or chaos, lay the deed to the family estate, exactly where he had said. 2. The hotel room call. In San Francisco, a woman on vacation was jolted awake at 5:30 a.m. by a call from her aunt. Before any meaningful exchange, the line went dead. Irritated, she called the hotel switchboard, only to be told no calls had been routed to her room all night. 3 hours later, she received a call from her husband. Her aunt had died at precisely 5:30 that morning. 3. The missing secretary. In 1965, Dr. Walter Uphoff, an economics professor, was preparing a research trip with his secretary, Mrs. Iris Brace. She told him she'd undergo surgery while he was away and reminded him to contact an insurance company afterward. While he was traveling, Mrs. Brace died suddenly from an embolism. Days later, back in his office, Dr. Uphoff followed her instruction and called the insurance company. Mid-conversation, the agent paused. "Hold on. My other phone is ringing." When he returned, he was stunned. "That was your secretary. She just reminded me about your call." Dr. Uphoff, barely breathing, told him the woman had been dead for a week. The agent was adamant. He'd heard her voice, clear, polite, and very much alive. The Phantom Operator. In 1975, Fate magazine's assistant editor, Jerome Clark, was speaking with Dr. Benton Jameson when the phone rang in his Minnesota apartment. Clark picked up. It was Mary, a friend of his wife, asking if she could babysit. Clark apologized. Penny was out of town. Mary sounded disappointed. The call ended. But when Penny returned and reached out to Mary, she swore she never made the call. She had thought about it, she admitted, but never picked up the phone. Dr. Jameson had heard the phone ring. He'd heard Clark's side of the conversation. So, who called? 5. The return message. After her husband died from terminal cancer, a woman named Mary grieved in silence. Days later, at a cafe, a friend suddenly clutched the table, whispering, "Don't look, but Bill is standing beside you." Everyone at the table saw him. Sickly, pale, draped in his hospital gown. Then, at home that night, the phone rang. Mary's sister answered and heard a ragged, gasping voice, the sound of death rattling in a throat. "Mary, I have something to tell you." She dropped the phone in terror. Mary rushed to the receiver, but the line was empty, silent, and chillingly open. 6. The battlefield call. June 1944. Pacific Theater. Amidst the deafening chaos of the Battle of Saipan, Marine Robert Ferrara was knocked unconscious by an artillery blast. As the darkness closed in, his thoughts clung to his mother in California. That same moment, thousands of miles away, his mother answered a phone call. "Mom, it hurts." No one was on the other end when she tried to respond, just static and silence. 7. The Psychic's Emergency. Author and psychic Ursula Roberts sat alone as her husband lay dying in the next room. Desperate and hopeless, she fell asleep by the phone, wishing, just wishing, someone would come. At dawn, there was a knock on her door. It was her friend, Rogil. He said police had come to his house around midnight, delivering an urgent message. Ursula had called the Norwich station and begged them to find him. She had not. She was asleep the whole time. The operator who took the call insisted it came from Robert's home, and the voice belonged to an older woman who identified herself as Ursula's mother. But her mother was long dead. The chilling pattern, Rogo and Bayless discovered an unnerving consistency across these cases. The recently dead made brief, emotional contacts. The long deceased sometimes held full conversations. Calls ended abruptly when their unnatural origin was recognized. Third-party witnesses often verified the events. Information was shared that could not have been otherwise known. These weren't hallucinations. These weren't mistaken identities. They were messages from the other side. Proof, perhaps, that death doesn't always hang up the line. Want to dive deeper into these stories or adapt them for a chilling podcast or short film? Just say the word. I've got more where that came from.